So, little update for today. Calling it Berka's Day, not Saturday or Saturn Day. But what has been coming through is to honor the birch goddess. A lot of energy coming through from the birch goddess. The energy of the birch goddess is one of really just long-lasting rejuvenation and just resourcefulness, and like the birch tree is it's a really unique tree, and there are lots of uses for it. It's been an important tree for a lot of people in North America that I know of. In the more distant past, it's been a very important tree. So it's it's this sense of that we have what we need. We have what we need. It's a resilient tree. It grows back. It keeps propagating, even through really some challenging times for birch trees around where I live in Michigan. There's not as many birch trees as there used to be, but they're still out there. And when you find a birch tree, if you live in a place where there are birch trees, I just urge you to practice just reverence for the birch tree. And so what else is coming through today? I'm out at a lake near me, and it's May the 4th. I don't know that I've ever been swimming in a lake so early in the spring. Again, I live in Michigan. Usually the water is pretty cold, unless you're into the, diving into the ice water thing, which we don't get ice water really anymore. We don't get very much ice on the lakes anymore, I should say. Where I'm at, it's been years really since we have consistently gotten ice on the lakes. So things have changed. But the energy coming through from the lake, from Berka, is to take what we're given. Take what we're given. So okay, the weather's warmer. Enjoy it. There's a lot of solar energy coming in right now. There's a huge encouragement right now to get out and to be in the sun. There's so much solar energy coming in. I mean, it's just, even as I'm saying it, it's intense. It's not, and I'm not talking about, like getting a sunburn intense. I'm talking about the frequencies of energy coming through are intense. And getting out into the water, is a good way to absorb that energy and to absorb a lot more of it than you realize that you're getting. The water is a way of just sort of almost insulating us so that we can work with that energy more. And so get into the water if you have a place where you can do that and it's warm near you. I mean, it's almost 80 degrees here today, and the water in the shallows is just about as warm as I would expect it to be in June or even maybe early July, depending on the year. So it's a little cold out the further you go. There's some cold spots, but in any case, get out in it. And soak up those energies. That's really partly a lot of what's coming through. The other thing that's coming through today, and this might seem strange, and this is the nerdy part of me coming through, but also a really important part of me, getting confirmation here of the blackbird kind of flying close, is it's May the 4th, and for those of you who are, or like I did, grew up with the Star Wars movies and have found those movies important to you in terms of kind of almost an alternate view of a spirituality, of connectedness, of, you know, this idea of the Force, this idea of energy, this idea of being connected with everything. There's a bit of that energy coming through. Red-winged blackbird, just right in front of me. There's a sense of that connectedness coming through right now, that sense of yes. And it's something I know I'm going to be talking about. It's been coming up a lot, even for probably more than a year. And this isn't something this is something that I've thought about a lot over the years, the decades, literally. Star Wars is an entry for me into reading Joseph Campbell, who really, you know, went into looking at the stories of myths worldwide and how similar they all are, rather than, you know, dividing us. There's actually an opportunity for coming together over our mythologies that are so different and yet are so similar. And this idea of connectedness, this idea of the solar hero, this idea of the hero that descends into darkness and comes back out, that life, death, rebirth cycle, comes back out with something that's important, right? And that the whole society needs. This idea of, again, the connectedness of all things. And that's just really coming through as an important touchstone right now. It's something to be paying attention to be feeling, to be aware of, to be grounding into our daily practices, our daily awarenesses. And I know that I'm going to be talking more about that, because there's a very, well, let's just put it this way. The Star Wars movies are a sort of canary in the coal mine for how society hasn't received something that we've needed to receive. And instead, we've gotten pulled into polarity. You can see it even in people who follow Star Wars. There's been so much polarity around it, so much divisiveness and arguing and just fighting over it. And it's so completely against the overall message of those movies, which is a balance of light and shadow, of learning that even though the light may want you to fight the darkness, and the darkness may want you to fight the light, in the end, balance is what's important. Balance is what brings new life. Finding something there in the shadows that we pull back into the light, and we see it, that we need it, and we use it. That's really the point of the mythology behind Star Wars, and the meaning of it. And that has gotten lost to great degree, and to some extent this is the fault of those who've continued to make, you know, movies and things based on it. It's really lost its way in a lot of ways, I would argue, from where it started and what it was really about. So in any case, that's coming through, and that connectedness to all things, you know. And I've been talking a lot about druidic energies, and the sense of being on the side of Gaia, Mother Earth. And that's a very Jedi kind of way of looking at things, if you're familiar with Star Wars. So there's encouragement today to start to think of ourselves more in those ways. And anybody can be a Jedi, so to speak. Anybody can be connected. It's not about having a particular you know, lineage or a particular bloodline or a particular, you know, you have, you know, particular sensitivity. Some people do have more sensitivity to things than others, but that isn't necessary, right? You know, meet yourself where you're at. And so if you're seeing this and you're coming to this, and I trust that's gonna mean something to you, that you're on some kind of a path where you are feeling maybe more and more sensitive to the natural world, to being drawn out into it, and seeing the importance of that, seeing your own place and humanity's place as part of nature, not separate from. And this is really important for what's going on right now. This reimagining of humanity's place in the world as part of nature, not separate from. And that can really change how we think about things, and therefore how we do things down the road. We need sensitivity. I talk a lot about the cups energy, the heart energy. We need a different frame of mind, swords energy, the energy of the mind, the thoughts. And as we rebalance, we're going to be able to pull down more energy from above. We're going to be able to pull down more spiritual energy. The fire is here. There's, again, I keep saying this, there's so much energy right now. There's so much enabling coming in, so much just a resource of backing from the universe. And here on Berka's day, the birch goddess is saying, yes, it's you're part of it. Enjoy it and pull in that energy. There's this sense right now of so much going wrong in the world, and for good reason. People are out protesting. But those of you who aren't directly joining in on that, it is not your place to sit around and get dejected about how bad the world is. That is not the thing to do. The thing to do is to raise your own vibration, to keep in a high sense of high perspective on these things, right? Your heart-mind connection, cleared up, free for energy to flow through. Pull in as much positive energy as you can. Don't get sucked into the narratives of things are just bad. And, you know, what are we going to do? Thought we were better than this. The world's going to, to hell in a handbasket. These types of things are just going to keep us stuck. Okay? There's an overall positivity that we need to embrace. And for some of us, that's going to pull us towards, say, joining in on a protest, because we're standing with, like, oh, that's the world I want to see, a world where there isn't war, a world where we're not okay with, our tax monies being used to drop bombs on other people that don't mean us any harm at all. They just want to live. Okay, a few bad actors, and that's an excuse to do all kinds of atrocious things. No, not okay, right? So that's what's going on right now, and it's the challenge. I keep saying this, I'm going to keep saying it, because this is my place right now. The challenge is to not fall into that, to not fall into the divisiveness, to not fall into the them versus us versus them, to ascend to a higher perspective. A lot of people are talking about ascension right now. What does that really mean? Well, it's a different perspective more than anything. It's a different perspective more than anything. Your body's not going to start glowing, and you're not going to start levitating about, probably. Maybe some people will, I don't know. But that's not what it's about. That's not what it's about. It's not about rising into the clouds because Jesus has come back to take you away from the awfulness because you're one of the good ones. That's not it. If there is an ascension, it's all about what's taking place in your own person, your own perspective, your own awareness, your own consciousness. That's what's going on. That's what we're going through as humanity. That's why we're seeing so much darkness, because we've got to see it. We've got to look at it, and then we're gonna decide what we actually want to ground in place instead. It's not going to be perfect, because we're not all going to agree, and that's okay. But the more we can come together the more we can be in the light, pull in this solar energy while it's here. The shadows just came right now. The clouds are covering a little bit. It's just a little message right now is coming through. Be in the sunlight while it's here. Be in it while it's here. Enjoy it. Pull it in. Anchor it in. Anchor it into your life. Make physical things change in your life. Practices. Put out pictures of your ancestors, recover the positive things about your ancestors and memories with your ancestors. And then reject the not positive things, the negative things. Reject those things. We're culling, we're getting rid of, we're making space for what we want. And we're doing both, okay? And the emphasis is more and more going to be on putting in place what we want, even as the world is going through more and more turmoil. That's a flushing out. So at the same time, those of us who are in this awareness that's coming in, be really grounding in what is it you want. Refuse the life in the world, the relationships, the things that you don't want to see, and pull in the ways you do want to be, the ways of being in the world that for you are like, yes, this is it for me. This is what I want. And get with others who want the same things. And that's ultimately what's going to change everything. And it's going to take a lot of time. It's not going to be all at once. So, keep the old head, keep the head up. Keep the eyes clear, the heart soft, okay? And yeah, it's gonna make a difference down the road. All right, so that's pretty much what's coming through today. Thank you for listening. If there's anything that you need support with on your own journey, I am here for that. That is part of really my purpose right now, what I'm to be doing. So do reach out, wandering_scholar writer on Instagram, thinkingstump.northnews @gmail.com. And I'll be back probably tomorrow with a soul day, a Sunday message. Much love, peace, all the light you can stand, sending it your way right now.